Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for your patience. It's 5:15. We're going to get started with our special board meeting. Kinsey, call roll, please.
Becker,
Here.
McCoy, here. Lyerly,
Here.
Gerlach, here. Minnow,
Here.
Nell, here. Meister, here.
All right, thank you. This evening, we're also joined by Superintendent Vicki Beyer and a member of the Inner City Student Council. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Paige. I'm going to be a junior at Preble this year.
Welcome. Please feel free and comfortable engaging in the meeting this evening. All right. We have 3 action items. 2A. Jeanette, would you please read the motion?
I move that the employment of staff as presented be approved. Second.
Discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Excellent. Action item 2B. Jeanette?
I move that the transfer of staff as presented be approved. Second.
Discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Thank you. And 2C. Jeanette?
I move that the resignation of staff as presented be approved. Second.
Discussion? Kinsey?
Online voting is now open. All votes have been entered and the motion is carried with all board members voting in favor.
Thank you. That concludes the agenda items for our special board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Aye.
We'll move directly to our 8:11 work session. And again, we'll call roll. Kinsey?
Meister, here. Knell,
Here.
Minnow,
Here.
Gerlach,
Here.
Lyerly,
Here.
McCoy, here. Becker.
Here. So all members are present. Just want to make a note that board member Minnow is joining us via Zoom, and due to some technical difficulties, it may be difficult for some to hear him, but we're trying to monitor and make sure that he's fully represented this evening. All right, let's move on to agenda item 2A, public forum. Do we have anyone interested in speaking this evening? Going once, going twice. Thank you. Let's move to agenda item 3A and education strategic priorities. So just based on the decision with Trustee Minnow being unavailable for some preparatory meetings, I'm going to run the education section this evening. We're being joined by David Johns to walk us through strategic priorities.
Thank you. Good evening, board. As always, good evening, student leaders. Glad to have you with us. Board, this evening, I'd like to share with you what the greatest hopes would be every August is an opportunity for us to come together and take a look at the year ahead. Identify where and when we'll be bringing updates to the board related to our strategic priorities. Get some feedback from you on the approach that we recommend to take at the board table to prepare for that and to keep you updated and to engage with you on the important priorities of the district. And then to identify an area where later this month, we'll be asking you to take action on a slight modification to the plan as it's been developed. So I did notice that we had the calendar on the screen. I appreciate that. If we can see that again, Kinsey. Excellent. Thank you very much. So what's represented here is taking a significant and substantive focus on each priority area per month, beginning in September and working through July of the next calendar year. And then again, reserving August, as we're doing right now, to take a look at what the next year could be, and also discuss as the strategic plan is very much a living thing for this community and this board, where and when we might make some adjustments to any components of it. When I presented the last time to this board around the strategic plan, one thing that we heard was the importance of maintaining a quarterly focus on academics. And so this calendar was built really from that in mind. And so you'll see across that first row, you'll see 4 updates on academics, and then you'll see corresponding updates for the others. The logic for plotting these where they are had to do with the most timely and available data to us coming up to each of those months to be able to provide you as direct of a connection to the annual goals and the 5-year goals in the plan. So happy to hear any questions you might have, recommendations you might have as you look at how the year would play out with board updates.
Any board member have questions, discussion on the calendar? And I assume that the offset and with April for the academic calendar is based on board member changes. What is the reasoning behind a January to May versus April gap?
The extending that gap to have an update on academics in May provides us an opportunity for us to provide some end of year screener data to the board that would give us probably the closest predictive data to student achievement on the statewide exams. We wouldn't have statewide data then, but we would have probably the hottest off the press screener data, in that we'll be using screeners now through 10th grade in ELA and math.
Thank you. Others? Okay.
Thank you. The companion to this, Kinsey will bring this up, is a template for a board memo, which outlines kind of the preparation that the team will go through as they set up the board presentation. And just want to call to your attention that we're going to try to formalize and structure these in a very similar way, knowing that obviously the conversation becomes very focused on the topic at hand. But we want to bring some consistency to the board, and so that we can get into the rhythm and flow of these. And so the teams will be working to build their presentation in alignment with these items. Kinsey, if you could pop that about 200%. If you remember the preview of the dashboard really will be central to these presentations. Not only will we be discussing whatever current data is available in relation to our 1-year goals at that time of the year, we'll also be focusing heavily on the actions and where we are in the process of fully executing the actions that we believe over the next year will be responsible for the results that we're seeking. This provides you some information in advance. Obviously, the value comes through the conversation at the board table, but we want you to be able to sit down to those conversations with really an organized structure of what's to come. We'll also prepare any supportive data that doesn't live in the dashboard that is a companion to what you're hearing, so that you'd have that to review in advance as well. Toward the bottom of this, there's a component of this where obviously we'll lay out the next steps that you can expect between now and the next time you'd get a board update on that topic. But this is also where we would engage with you, where we're reaching some moments in the work, maybe where we're stalling or where we've hit a roadblock or a barrier. And we need to work together. We share the ownership for the success of this plan, and this gives us an opportunity to talk about that openly. Happy to hear any recommendations of pieces that you would want. We're ready to go in September with the Thriving Workforce, this first update to the board. And as it is right now, we'll follow this again with any suggestions you might have to it. And let's learn as we go.
Sam?
Looking at each of the priority areas, there's a kind of a variable number of goals underneath each one. Some of them having, only 4, and then I think it was the Thriving Student Body that's got 7 of them under there. Understanding kind of how the academics excellence piece is kind of chunked out, is there an intention to address all, like in the Thriving Student Body, all 7 of those goals in each of the update meetings on that topic? Or are you envisioning kind of chunking them up into 2, or just a bit more clarity on that?
That's a great question. Thank you. Over the span of all updates on a particular priority, we will address all of the goals. I think what's equally important is that we draw a line between some of the strategic actions we're taking and the various areas that those actions have impact in terms of the goals. We'll draw those lines that connect everything, but the sum total of all of these updates will be that we will discuss and be accountable to where our progress is on all the goals, whether it's 7 or 4 in an area.
Others? So this is the time, like this is, the shape of the presentation. So this is intended for us to get from the administration the information structured in such a way where we can help, right? And also make sure that the district is making good on its promises to take the actions necessary or planned in a particular area of priority. So if there are any suggestions or whatever, please make sure that you're thoughtful now. I recognize that there's going to be learning as we go, and we'll be flexibly minded as to making sure that we get better at this each iteration. But let's not be passive participants in this. Okay. Andrew, did you have something or no? And I appreciate, Sam, your perspective. It's my understanding that you'll really be focusing on the actions, right, that support the priorities, and there'll be at any given point in time during the year, some of them not started, some of them, they will be planned, whatever. What I'm looking for is for you to index on the problems, right? The things that are not necessarily going as planned, any delays or what have you. Because we can talk and have an interesting conversation about the ones in green. But from what I'm looking for is making sure I am really, really in tune with where there might be struggle that we can help unblock or provide some guidance on priorities. Others? All right. Thank you. Yep.
Just one more brief item on this, as this will come to you as an action item later this month. I just want to name and address a recommended change or shift to the term of the strategic plan. It was set up as a 5-year plan. Goals exist for those 5 years. What I'll be asking the board through a motion that we'll submit for your consideration will be to name the end date of that 5 years as October of 2030. It currently is listed at June of 2030, which is a handy way to think about the fiscal year and things like that. But October really gives us that last time-stamped, primarily academic data report that gives us 5 full years of taking strategic action toward those 5-year goals. So we'll be asking you for that slight modification to approve, and then we'll update all of the published versions of the plan accordingly.
Right? Others? Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to 3B, which is the Head Start Program Guidelines, Operational Procedures Handbook, and Policy Council Bylaws. And joining us at the table is Rachel de la Cruz. Welcome.
I got the right button. Thank you so much for having me. Each year, our Head Start program updates its policy guidelines, as well as our Policy Council updates the bylaws. Outlined in the memo are the updates that we did this year. However, I do have to apologize. In cross-checking over the weekend, it seems as though a table has modified some of our page numbers. So if you need correct page numbers on those, I'm happy to get them to all of you. The changes this year overall are pretty minor, and they're just updated to reflect what we are already doing. We just wanted to capture them appropriately in our procedure manuals.
Great, thank you. Is there any discussion or questions? Oh, it's easy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to turn the chair over to Jeanette to walk us through operations.
Thanks, James. The first point on our agenda is 4A, recommendation for revisions to employee handbook language. I think Mike's going to join us.
Yes, Mike.
I forgot to ask Mike a question that I wanted to ask with regard to our special board meeting when we were taking those votes. Is it okay if I ask him that question now?
No, it was Mike. You have an opinion?
If it's okay,
I'm sorry.
if it's okay with the rules.
Well, I'm looking beyond you to Melissa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
But can we move to go back to revert to that part of the agenda?
It's not part of this agenda, it's part of the previous.
Oh,
meeting.
previous meeting.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you again for the opportunity to connect with you this evening on this topic. My name is Mike Freeze. I work in the Human Resources Department, and as part of our ongoing commitment to clarity, consistency, and operational effectiveness, the department I work in, following a comprehensive review with district administrators, my colleagues at the executive cabinet level, and others, we are recommending some updates to our 25-26 employee handbook. This is a fairly standard process that we've followed the past few years, where around this time each year, we seek to bring any updates for publication for the coming school year. Like last year, most of these recommended changes are intended to clean up and clarify what's already happening and has been happening in the district. We believe these changes reflect recent board-approved policy and rule updates, clarify some of our procedures related to emergency closings, call-in pay, out-of-classification assignments, and personal leave usage, as well as address some common areas of confusion that we sometimes experience. So we hope that language will assist everyone involved. The recommendations aim to better align our handbook language with our current practices, the capabilities we have with our technology, and the evolving needs of our staffing students. Respectfully, we ask for the board's approval of these updates later this month as presented. Happy to take any questions that you may have. The memo has been provided for your review as well in advance. And I believe Kinsey's working on getting that posted for the public as well. So thank you. She says that it's up. Thank you.
Andrew?
Thank you. I'm looking, I'm trying to find it again. Well, just on it, and then I moved through to some other things, and now. It's the part about interviewing the most senior employee with this. I can't find the page.
That is.
Yes, my apologies. We kind of have a crossing over between the very bottom of page 6
Yeah.
to the top of page 7.
Okay, thank you. I realize my question is a bit broader than just the issue of whether the most senior person is not eligible to serve in the role if selected. There has been some long, hard fought battles over how we look at seniority in the district, and I guess I didn't realize it had laddered down this far, that, you know, we had at one point they had to choose from one of the top few senior applicants or get HR approval to go outside unless we were past a certain deadline. And now seniority doesn't automatically do anything except grant an interview, and only to one. It just seems like at this point, any reference to seniority is all but gone. And I'm just wondering how we got there. I guess I didn't realize we got there this far.
I'm not familiar with any changes to this wording except for this recommendation, which simply was intended to clarify what has been happening, to my understanding, in my during my 5-year tenure here in the department I work in. So I can't speak to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that was like this when you started. Okay. And I appreciate you telling me that, nor would I have expected you as leader of the department to propose such a change that would essentially void out seniority. I would, but if that came before you, then that's what came before you. I guess we had a system that certainly was not perfect, where the most senior person could just take what they wanted, and that had other problems, but at least had consistency. But now, you know, now an interview pool could be the most senior person being given a courtesy interview, and then the hiring administrator just choosing all outsiders. And I guess I've always thought there should be some kind of a hybrid of seniority and service with the district matters, and hiring manager discretion. I always thought there should be some of both, and apparently there's very little of that left. And I guess part of that's on me, because I was on the board when unless all of it happened on the 2 years I was gone, but probably not. I guess what's mostly relevant to here is if the most senior person within the employee group doesn't have the right license, at least as a bare minimum, I think that the most senior internal applicant who is qualified at least should be granted an interview. In other words, they don't get to just skip interviewing any internals because the most senior one isn't qualified. I would hope that we could do that, but I'd also like to, you know, whether now or later have a discussion, because I would hope there's some interest in there being some type of a system where, you know, again, talking about things that were prior to 2010 negotiated and evolved over generations, where different work rules were traded for less pay, and the rug was pulled out from under those rules. So I guess I would like to see if we could look at the most senior person eligible, or who would be eligible, because I think if you're going to complete your certification in time, that would be eligible. At least we still guarantee the one most senior eligible person in the interview.
I understand what you're offering. Thank you.
James?
Thank you, Jeanette. Reading these and seeing the updates, the only other time that I've seen updates to the employee handbook came from a handbook committee, if I remember correctly, and we had representation at the, from the committee at the time. And that might have been a substantial rewrite of, several parts of it. Was this the work of a handbook committee, or is this an HR review of the handbook and that are being pushed out? And if so, can you just verify that all stakeholders have had an opportunity to see the changes and comment?
I appreciate that question. The last 2 years, at least the last 2 years, we've done it like this because we felt that they were more cosmetic and operational clarification in nature. The parts of this set of recommendations that included what we thought might, at least from our perspective, that we thought needed some discussion or input, a space was created for that input. In the most recent conversation that we had in talking with our representative union leadership this afternoon, some additional comments were brought up with concern about some topics. So over these next 2 weeks, we'll be re-engaging them around some of those. The meteor issues from 3 years ago that had a handbook committee, when we run into those again, we're gonna want to engage stakeholders in those topics. Absolutely. We felt most of these things were providing clarity to things, but I appreciate the question.
Well, and I appreciate your response, because I thought that the handbook committee was a durable, committee that was, not formed for a specific year. I thought it was kind of a standing committee. So thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
I have a question
Alex, question.
at some point.
Yeah, can you go to Alex first, because
Yes.
we've spoken.
Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you, appreciate it. I just wanted to ask if, I just want to make sure I understand the part that Andrew was talking about correctly. If in any way, what has been changed in that part, how does it affect in action the process going forward? Does that make sense? Is there any actual change with that wording that changes what was done?
Thank you for asking for clarification on that. From my perspective, this does not reflect any change in actual practice. It simply writes down what the practice has been that we've lived through. The most specific example is right now we're in the month of August. And if we have like a general education second grade opening, because we're so close to the start of the school year, we have not, in my experience, allowed a general education candidate from across the district say, oh, I've always wanted to move to that school, because it creates this backfill in the last month before the school year starts. And so it just kind of indicates that within the timing, so that people know why we wouldn't be engaging internal applicants at certain points with that particular example.
And I appreciate that. And that was the one sticking point that I had a follow-up question on, which was the timing. Is there a reason that I don't maybe see a specific time frame pointed out in which maybe then you won't engage in that process? Because I think there's arguments to be made on both sides, but I don't know that I don't see one like a date or a reference of a time frame, and I'm kind of curious about your thoughts on that.
Sure, there's a difference with our different employee groups based on their employment status. So like educator contracts and the staffing for an educator season is different than the more non-exempt, non-contracted employees. So like an hourly paraprofessional or a monitor or food service worker. So we have putting a date in would not apply equitably across all employee groups. And so we have internal process documents that aren't in the handbook that we just follow each year, so that we notice out to paraprofessionals when their window is open or closed, when, you know, staffing for other positions may open up. So that's how we typically handle that, Alex.
Okay, because I'm just thinking about situations where wanting to ensure that all teachers, whatever the method or location of that information is, that is disseminated yearly for each teacher so that they're aware of that. It's kind of my thought process. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hopefully we're on the same page with that. We put that out in the staff scoop every year. We share it with the GBEA every year. And we make it available in our administrative updates every year as well. So everybody knows what those windows are of internal reassignments, you know, these sorts of things, displacements and involuntary transfers and internal applications. So.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yes, I think, actually, I don't think I'll take my question offline. It doesn't really add anything new here. I do, well, okay, no, I'll say it anyways. It seems to me that something like a handbook committee, having it means something, even if it's pro forma, and what seems like not a big deal to administration there might be some unintended consequence that's missed. So I would feel better probably about there being a handbook committee that meets when we change the handbook. And if it's a 5-minute meeting over Zoom because we are fixing 3 typos, then it's a 5-minute meeting over Zoom because we're fixing 3 typos. I think that's a better way to go than it eliminates any question about, well, we didn't call the meeting because this is really little. It would just never be able to happen. The meeting would just be short and sweet if it was a minor issue.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question regarding, on page 13, the income protection plan, and the wording regarding social security. So it says, if eligible employees do not qualify for long-term disability benefits, but do qualify for social security disability benefits, the amount of income protection plan will be offset by the amount of social security benefits. You don't say social security disability benefits there. So you have to understand there's social security benefits that a person can start collecting at 62, but there's also social security disability benefits, which are different from those benefits. I think it would be very good, and I'm not Melissa, so she knows better than me, but I think it would be better if we spelled out the whole word social security disability benefits, rather than just saying social security benefits. The other thing that I'm asking here is, so you're saying if somebody does not qualify for long-term benefits, that's a long-term disability benefit, that's a long-term disability plan that the district holds, correct?
Yes.
So if they don't qualify for long-term disability benefits for what we have, they may not qualify initially for Social Security disability benefits. It can be very difficult and a long process to get those benefits, and sometimes trying 2 or 3 times and having to hire an attorney to help. So what will happen to somebody who's denied both the long-term disability benefits and the Social Security disability benefits? Will they continue on income protection plan, even if they're 62 and eligible for Social Security benefits?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? Next under operations is job description update.
She just stepped out, Mike, sorry. Come on up, Lynette.
Tonight, I'd like to welcome Director of Food Service Lynette Keno to the table with me as we bring forward a request for consideration of, in this case, it's an updated job description for a position in the food service department. We've provided the board, as we do each time we bring one of these forward, if it exists, the original description with kind of some red lines of the changes, as well as proposed kind of clean version. In short, this is a position that is situated within the food service department. Lynette can talk a little bit about the need for the position being brought back forward with some revisions to what it had been previously. So Lynette, please.
All right, thank you, Mike, and thank you, everyone. Nice to see everyone this evening. So for this position, coming back to the food service program, the challenge that we have been seeing is a daily support for the operation at schools with following all the regulations that we need to follow within the food service operation. The greatest value this position will add is safety review of our program. We have safety audits that we go and we offer that we do every month at our schools. And this is something that I do have on their key performance indicators, also known as KPIs, that we have a safety committee within our district, but then also food service, we have a safety review form that we do. And we just want to make sure that that is getting completed in a timely fashion each month. Also, employee support with onboarding new staff and training with the number of schools that we have within our district. I have myself and I have 3 other salaried managers. And with this food service specialist coming on board, that would assist us with the training and also assist the schools in their daily operation also. And then with the ongoing training, we follow professional food standards training with USDA that we need to follow with the number of years that, or number of hours that they work each month. That they need to do training. So this is just ongoing training that they would be doing. Taste testing of new products in our schools with our students. This is something that we are really going to be focusing on this school year with the new parent subcommittee meeting that we are getting together with one of our elementary schools. And we are going out and doing taste testings at the schools with the parents and with the students. Also, the benefit will also assist with processing our free and reduced meal benefit applications that we have for our families. This will also allow the admin to focus on the operations, the daily operations, also as things would come up each day. And there will be more connection with each building. The summer feeding program, we have 2 of our specialists that go out and monitor our summer feeding program. And they're out and about every single day. And our staff greatly appreciate them being out there for questions and getting them answers. Or if they don't have the answers, they can come back to us and we can get them those answers. And so with that, in a little nutshell, that's what I have put together. Are there any questions that any of you would have? Oh, I would like to add one thing for those of you who may not know. This would be covered under Fund 50. Fund 50 is a food service fund, and food service strictly solely is under Fund 50. We try very hard, we haven't, to go under Fund 10.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Lynette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move forward to 4C, performance contract approval for energy conservation measures in our facility improvement measures. That includes improvements to provide solar photovoltaics at 4 sites. Aldo Leopold East High School, Edison Middle School, and Washington Middle School, retro commissioning and energy efficiency across all buildings and technical services to implement sustainability outcomes to support the board's sustainability resolution.
Thank you. This is a continuation of our relationship with McKinstry and our focus on energy conservation and utilization of Fund 46 to support this work. Tonight, we're joined by Nick from McKinstry and the Director of Facilities, Luann O'Leary. Luann, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you're doing a good job.
Oh.
Hello, we're here with Nick. We've got several exciting projects that we want to do. The solar work in particular. We've had success at Lombardi and at King, and we'd like to continue on with that. And McKinstry's been a great partner. And like I said, it's just an ask to continue.
Any questions? James?
So I just want to make sure that I fully understand that this is an outlay that is in alignment with the Fund 46 information that Kale has brought forward. We were expecting this outlay, and there is no other purpose for this fund but for capital improvements. Is that correct? And we put together that 10-year capital plan just to make sure that we were able to access these dollars, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
If I could just say one thing on 46, the district will be receiving 1.1 million, as Laura knows, in federal funds and rebates. So what we're seeing the larger districts do is they replenish 46 then going forward. So I just wanted to note that I think that's the intention of administration as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move forward to
Thanks, guys.
item D, the 22-24 referendum updates.
In Kale's absence, we will not have a referendum update tonight.
Thank you for that. Okay, agenda item E, under operations, semi-annual budget transfers.
This is a requirement by the state. We come to the board twice a year to share what those modifications are, the budget transfers are.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, no questions then. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. At this point, I'm going to turn the chair over to Trustee Meister to walk us through policy and governance.
All right, thank you. Looking at kind of the outlay of this evening, Melissa's going to join us. The first up is there you go, a set of revisions and some repeals to policies, rules, and exhibits in the 100 series. So Melissa, just to kind of go through this, first of all, we'll just kind of go line by line here. Does that work? Excellent. Okay, so the first one up, it looks like just 110, which is just updating the district mission. The mission appears that it's not changing other than some cross-referencing updates, but also the addition of the exhibit of the new strategic plan.
That's correct.
So looking at 110, then are there any questions? All right, then next up is some revision considerations to policy 131 regarding school board elections, and policy 141 regarding school board officers. So if Melissa, if you'd like to add.
Yes, as the memo states that the city of Green Bay has historically conducted the elections on behalf of the school district. This is probably a remnant of when we were one entity, and in 1982, we reorganized and became our own entity, and the city continued to do that work for us. As the city routinely does, they looked through their elections procedures and determined that going forward, because a number of those elections, the city was only conducting the duties on behalf of the district, and they did not have their own election in those spring elections, that it would, the duties need to go back to the district, and the district conduct our own elections and the canvasses and collecting the various forms that candidates file. So commencing with the spring election, there's no November election, but commencing with the spring election, we will be doing that. The city, through the city clerk's office, Celestine Jeffries, has offered to train us and provide whatever resources we may need. We already have a number of those meetings set up. Kinsey and I and Abby, our associate counsel, have done a number of trainings through WSB as well. And Kinsey has reached out to a number of her job-alikes across the districts, the neighboring districts, who have been very helpful as well to provide resources. So we think we're in a good spot. Jeanette, as the clerk, is also going to take the training and join us in those meetings as well. So we are ready to go, and we think that it will be more work, but we're definitely in a good spot.
Thank you. So just for discussion purposes, let's look at 131 regarding school board elections first. Are there any questions or discussion on that? Andrew?
Thank you. Is this, was there some kind of determination that this, for whatever reason, shouldn't be done by the city? Like the district can't really delegate it to the city, and it's just a remnant practice that has to go? Or is this I guess, does the city need to not do it, or does the city choose to not do it, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it?
I don't think the answer is clear one way or the other. The cleanest answer would be for the district to take over and do the elections.
Yeah, there's elements of both, or like, is it money? Because if it's money, there's other ways of looking at that too.
The district paid the city to take on these duties, so it was not a financial issue.
So I guess I'm still unclear as to whether there was did this come out of the city just not wanting to be involved with it anymore, versus if there was maybe some new legal cases that came out, or just legal discussions?
So it didn't have to do with not wanting to do. I think, as the memo states, that after the election, the city reviews its processes. And in looking through there, again, the area is a little bit more gray as to whether the city should have been conducting the elections on our behalf, or whether we should have been doing them. And so, to make sure that it's clean, we agreed, and the city agreed, that we should take over those duties and conduct the elections on behalf of the district.
Lynn?
So there is no statute that, pertains here, or is there, tradition, like around the state of Wisconsin? Are we the only school district that isn't doing it right and we should?
I don't wanna say we're not doing it right. I think we're cleaning things up. And, the state statute definitely outlines how elections are conducted, filing timelines, clerk duties, canvass duties, timelines for canvassing. And, of our neighbors, we are the only, school district that was having the municipality conduct the election. Of the urbans, other urbans are having the city conduct their elections.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Alex.
Are you aware of why the other urbans are having their city do it like we have had them do it, and why maybe they haven't changed like this proposed change is being, I guess, put on?
I am not.
Is there a way to, I would definitely like to know what, what their thoughts and experiences have been, as far as why they maybe, if they've done it in the past and what happened, and or why they aren't, because again, my biggest concern is that with the size of our district, of our voting block, it's a lot to take on, and there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of technicality as well, and there's a lot of persistence with all of the different dates of requirements throughout the course of an entire year. And obviously, I think it goes without saying, possibly having a new clerk every single year, just from the nature of changing board seats and board positions. I just feel like it requires a certain set of institutional knowledge to make sure that this is done well. And this is a significant deal to be taking something that obviously has state law election requirements, and something we really haven't done for 43 years at least. So I just want to put that out there, that I'm not necessarily a fan of this. Not that I don't think, because we're not all smart people and willing to try our best. I just think there's a reason it's been done the way it's been done, and other large districts alike are not doing it themselves.
So I can speak to the concern, Alex, about the institutional knowledge. I know that Samantha first introduced 131, but I'm also gonna talk about 141, because I think they go hand in hand. So, you as a board are able to delegate those administrative duties to a staff person. And the language of section C as written would be delegating those duties to essentially Kinsey's position, in order for her to carry out the day-to-day administrative duties and gain that institutional knowledge with respect to administering the elections. In addition, there is a legislative change that has been delayed for implementation. It was supposed to start with this election, but it's not going to be starting until the following April election, where your campaign finance forms and a few other forms will be filed directly with the state, and those will not be filed with the board clerk. So it's not going to be, for one election, we'll have to do the full duties, but going forward after that, a number of those forms will be filed directly with the state. I think it is my opinion that we should be doing these elections, and the city should not be doing them for us going forward. And given the gray area, I do think it's cleanest that we take over our own elections.
Briefly here, we'll just open it up to comments and questions on both policy 131 and 141. So Laura, I saw your hand.
Sir, with the implementation of this, is there any aspect of election night that will look differently?
Not election night. There are still joint activities that we'll be doing. The city and the county, we will still have a joint ballot. We will still have joint postings. So really it is the filing of the forms, the validation of signatures for nomination forms, the campaign finance forms, and then the canvas that will be primarily our responsibilities.
But, I mean, in a typical election, school board election, I don't know how many can, at least 6, right?
We had 7.
So how many people?
We had 7 still.
Yeah, I mean, checking all those signatures and making sure that they're valid isn't an inconsequential job. That's a lot of signatures, and I know our current city clerk is, you know, pretty much a pro at checking those to make sure that those, whoever's signing your papers is entitled to do that, that's a valid signature. I just, I'm kind of with Alex on this. This is somewhat troubling, and I feel confident we can do it. I have no doubt about that, but it will add substantial time and effort and work to staff.
Any other questions, discussion?
I have one if somebody else doesn't.
Go ahead, Alex.
Being that this is something that's going to be very new, and there's obviously a learning curve, and arguably being the only urban that does this, to, I guess in a general sense, to what extent do we open ourselves up to any kind of repercussions or legal action, you know, if we make mistakes going through this, you know, especially the first number of times that we've done this, and again, at least a few decades.
So just point of clarification, we are not the only urban that will be conducting our own elections.
Oh, I thought,
Which
sorry.
by statute, they are different, so they conduct their own, and then Madison, the city of Madison conducts Madison. The other urbans are conducting their own elections, so just, I wanna make sure that's clear. With respect to mistakes, there's a chance for making mistakes in everything we do, and, you know, whether it's, the training is very clear as to how far we go in checking addresses for signatures and nomination papers, what constitutes residency and what our role and responsibility is for checking residency. And I would say that we feel pretty confident that given our skills and abilities and the resources we have, that we're up for the task. Any other discussion? Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Again, just, I have no doubt we can do it, but looking at this, I've always actually really liked the aspect that there's a separation between our staff and the process. That basically a third party is overseeing this process. When this becomes in-house, so to speak, it feels, I don't know, just a little unsettled by that. And maybe I'm, you know, I don't know why exactly, but I just wanted to say that I like that removed aspect when the city did it. That's all.
James?
I just need to understand if we're in a interesting conversation or if there's actually something that's actionable here. Is my understanding that the city had made a decision to, even if we, you know, again, offered them the appropriate amount of money to conduct the elections, that they were not interested in conducting the elections. And if that's the case, it is moot whether or not we are ready, or whether or not we're opening ourselves up to additional liability. It is what it is, right? Unless you feel like we have another amount of influence over the city and their decisions.
They are not required to conduct our elections, and they've informed us that they're no longer gonna conduct the elections.
Thank you.
All right, then, moving on, we've got, 151, 151.2, and 151.5, all surrounding, adoption, revision, maintenance, and dissemination of board policy, as well as, administration in the absence of school board policy, and suspension of policies. So Melissa, any additional information on those?
Nope, this is just cleanup on all of those.
Any conversation, questions, Andrew?
Yeah, so first of all, why would we be repealing suspension of policies?
as the memo indicates, the language is added to policy 151.
And then I guess I have a follow-up. I guess the rest of my point here is maybe a bit more philosophical, but if we look at, and I'm thinking mostly about G, that'd be 2G under, it's on page 4. And when I talk about the superintendent, I'm not talking about Vicky. I don't think I'm talking about Vicky's successor, although I don't know who that'll be. I'm maybe not even talking about Vicky's successor's successor. I'm talking about setting enduring rules. So I get that the implementation of board policies is delegated to the superintendent, but it seems like we're putting an extra exclamation point on it, and I think a lot of times, and we've seen things with we have seen things with other superintendents in the past where we had implementation of policies that was interpreted so broadly, I think, as to be pretty obvious that it wasn't what the board meant, but it happened. Now, those people are gone. They're not here. I guess I'm also concerned about, the technical correction stuff. I don't see the harm in us just voting through a package of technical corrections when they happen, instead of saying that the superintendent can notify the board and make amendments to the policy. Because the technical question today is a cross reference that was misnumbered. And then maybe it's, I don't know, it seems to be opening doors a crack to just a little tiny bit less board authority, symbolically or directly. Neither of those things are going to be a problem, but I just don't like opening doors a crack to things that are the board giving up some of its authority. If I'm the only one who feels that way, then I won't spend time on it.
Andrew, if I could just speak to that. We have always been doing that. It just was not enumerated in the policy. So for transparency purposes, we put that in the policy so that staff, the community is aware of how technical updates happen. If you look at the language of G4, it's clear that it says this is for things that don't have any bearing or intended meaning on the policy, including updating changes to names. So if a Title IX coordinator swaps out, we don't have to bring that to the board, and we can get that fixed with the right name, because we're required by the law to make employees aware through the policy of the actual person, not just the title description. And then contact information, formatting errors or editing errors, but it does not, technical correction is not authority to add, delete, or replace entire words.
I mean, that's a lot better than if technical corrections included adding or deleting or replacing entire words. I still think it would be better and cleaner to just have in the, on the consent agenda, here's our list of policy changes, and just run it through that way. But again, if I'm the only person who's, these are small things, but I just, yes, it's, if we were doing it anyways and didn't say it, it's better that we're saying it. That is better that we're saying it. And I don't think any harm has been done here by this group. I just get concerned about opening little cracks in the wall.
So our current practices, the updates are notified to the board in your board weekly update. And then the practice is always, this is the change that's going to be made. It will be effective a week from now, unless a board member raises a concern, and then if a board member does raise a concern, then we bring it to the board table. Because we would never want to make a change with, if a board member had a concern.
Yeah, this is about, this is about the least, this is about the best way that I think we can do it. It's probably about the best, other than just putting all the technical corrections on a piece of paper and voting it through on the consent agenda. I think, I would give it a, B plus, A minus. It's pretty good. There's not a lot you can't change a whole word, so I'm not super worried, but I think that symbolically there might be some value to it.
Any additional discussion on this set? James?
I just want to make sure that it's said that, in certain areas, Andrew and I do differ. And I appreciate codifying in G1 that it is delegated to the superintendent, because it closes a door for board members kind of crossing over into operational spaces. I think that in total, the policies that we have give us alternative methods of handling our superintendent that is not interpreting policy in line with board expectations. We can issue and recommend rules and procedures that would clarify and codify the interpretation of a policy in the event that that was necessary. So I don't see any reason why this board would need to abandon its governance position and get involved in a by taking over or extending our scope of control instead of taking corrective action with the superintendent itself.
All right, moving on then to the last one in the 100 series here is policy 170 related to meetings of the Board of Education. It looks like the only real update to this was to expand the format of the work sessions to include a fourth area related specifically to updates around the strategic plan. So Melissa, any additional or David?
I think you captured that well. It's that inclusion of that fourth component.
Any questions or discussion? Lynn?
I certainly support that, and I think that's a good change, and I will support that when we vote for it. But I would like to take this opportunity to call your attention to, if you go a little bit further down in that document under section 3 board work sessions, we're looking at the change in section A. But if you go down to C, it says the board president shall appoint 2 board members to preside over discussion in each of the work session areas. I know that's what we've been doing, and I would like to propose that we consider deleting that and that we change that procedure. All it does is move the chairing of that part of the meeting to a different person temporarily. And we, even though these are not committees, we have been calling them committees informally. And I think it also, by turning over that section of the work session to a board member, it suggests to the public that that board member and his or her partner, because 2 of us serve in each area, that we have special knowledge, or we have had special meetings, we've had a work session, maybe even suggest that we have decided what should go on the agenda in that section. I think it's misleading. I feel we have somewhat been misleading ourselves by suggesting we're on committees, and that when we meet with the superintendent to prepare ourselves for the board meeting in 2s, we're all going through the very same thing. We're all looking at the entire agenda. And I think it's confusing. I think it's a little bit silly. And I would like to propose that this might be a time that we could do away with that.
Anyone else? Andrew?
As with other times this has been proposed, I would be a vehement no on doing this. For whatever little bit it means, and I understand it is a little bit. We've always done this to have some opportunity for some leadership role for all, basically all board members who would be interested in having one. It's also written that you could have, if the two want to have one person lead the portion all the time, they could. It's almost always been alternated. Again, this is, you know, this is symbolic. It takes something where the chair is rotated, and it takes it away. It takes it out of everyday board members. The last remaining, the one remaining piece where there is a leadership role and it's facilitating some of the meeting. I also think that there very well could be times that, although the pairs go over the agenda together and would cover all pieces of it, you very well might have a pair that has more expertise in a certain area than another. You might have educators that are on teaching and learning, and you might have, it doesn't have to be that way, but it could be. There is no authority to it, but again, I think, you know, to take away that last piece that maybe symbolically evens out authority a little bit, I think would be a mistake.
Anyone else?
I'll add something quickly by my.
Alex?
I would just say that I kind of agree with both of you in the sense that I agree with everything Andrew said. And I agree with some of I had to deal with some of maybe the misnomers of what the process really looked like and how it unfolded behind the scenes. So I think I would just finish by saying it's maybe a comment upon us as a board to just better in a district maybe, but as a board to better communicate what it should and what it's supposed to look like and what it actually means to ourselves, like Lynn was kind of referring to, and even the public. But I still do think, as Andrew said, it's important to have those. So that's just my 2 cents.
So I'm doing a little bit of math here. We have 7 people, 2 on each one, on each, under each topic. But you're adding a 4th topic. So somebody's gonna double up. I sort of agree with Lynn that everything is covered, under each topic, and perhaps the board president could, when we get to that session, delegate one person, and it's sort of a round robin, but amongst the 7 of us. Just a proposal.
Anyone else? We'll do James and then Andrew.
Regardless of how this vote goes, I don't know that it is our intention to actually staff the new area with board members, but should leave that in the hands of the superintendent and David.
I would think that the issue of the math, where there's the 3 regular work sessions that have 2 people each on them, it would seem reasonable that the board president would just share whatever portion was designated, and then we don't have the doubling up issue.
Go ahead, Janet.
But point C says the board president shall appoint 2 board members to preside over discussion in each of the work session areas.
Right, so we might have to say except for strategic plan, if that's gonna not be that. I mean, it's easily fixable, the words.
I just want to briefly make sure that everyone understands all the president is doing is giving a board member an opportunity to read what's on the agenda out loud. My first year on this board, we did not do that. I thought the president did a fine job running the entire meeting, and I think that there's no value in simply giving people an opportunity to read something off the agenda, which can be a little bit confusing to other people who might think there's some good reason for this. This person has expertise, has been meeting about this, has decided this should be on the agenda, et cetera, et cetera. So just reiterating, I think it's symbolic and I don't think it's necessary.
We'll do one more, Andrew, just in the interest of time, since we've got several other sections.
Yeah, I will say again, as with the last time we had this debate, what you experienced in your first year on the board was an illegal suspension that was against board, that was in ignorance of board policy, that those positions were supposed to be appointed. And that's what you experienced under different, so that's, you may have liked it, but it was illegal. It's symbolic, but symbolism sometimes matters.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that is what I'm asking Melissa to do, to bring us the opportunity to change the policy so that it will be legal not to do it.
So I don't have an administrative recommendation on this, but we bring our administrative recommendation. So when you vote at the next meeting, you can make a motion to delete that section of the policy and change that section. I have Kinsey add Rule 170 to the agenda as well, because if you delete section C, you're going to need to repeal Rule 170 as well, because that's the implementation of that section. And in any event, if strategic planning is staying with the board president, then as Andrew said, there at least needs to be an edit to section C to exempt strategic plan from the appointment of 2 board members.
All right, any final discussion on this one? Okay, moving on to the policy 351 in teaching and learning related to summer.
David is joining me as well with respect to the summer school policy. This policy was updated to reflect the current distribution of that work for summer school, as well as to reflect the requirements under Act 20.
Any questions or discussion on this one? Lynn?
Just a quick technical question. When I see something with red lines and then I also see blue text and I see a couple other colors, should I just be paying attention to the redlining?
No, the multiple colors are because multiple people were working on it and it gets saved as multiple colors. So I apologize for that.
Anyone else? Okay, then we'll move on to the revisions to policy 527.1 on employee whistleblower protections.
We've had this policy in place for quite a while, but we needed to make updates with respect to changes from the federal regulations. And in doing so, we also provided better clarity in the language to allow for more understanding of what the mandates are for staff in making those reports.
Any questions on this one? Okay, moving on then to policy 665 related to fraud prevention and reporting.
I sound like a broken record because the rest of these policies are all changes as a result of federal regulation changes. And that's what these updates in policy 665 are.
Any questions on this one? All right, seeing as how these are all then remaining related to this, we can, I'll just entertain any questions on policy 672 procurement and purchasing. James?
Melissa, I'd like to offer a modification to the enumeration of, I'm looking at trying to pull up the actual policy, apologize. 10. Implementation. D, there is a presentation to the board. So in the event that the purchase or the procurement meets the threshold where it has to be presented to the boards, a couple of years ago, we kind of enumerated what that presentation looks like. I would like to offer an part F to that enumeration that requires that for any items or systems or facility or fleet improvements that fall within the scope of the Clean Energy Committee recommendation plans, that confirmation of that purchase or project conforms to the plans, or if it does not, a justification for the reasons why it doesn't be provided. And I can send you the language that I'm referencing, but basically I want the procurement process to kind of provide some teeth that holds the district to its clean energy planning, and that any of those systems that are energy consuming systems conform to that plan as part of the procurement presentation.
Just for my clarity, are you in the rule or the policy?
I'm in the policy, I do believe.
I think he's in the rule. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
Oh, got it.
yeah, and I'll provide the language
Yeah.
right now. Alex.
Alex, go ahead.
He can.
No, that's fine. I was just trying to help.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments or discussion on 672? Either the policy or the rule? Okay, then we will move into policy and then the accompanying rule 760 related to food service management, and then the rule related to accommodations and modifications in school food service programs. Same comment as before. Any questions on this one? All right, I'll do it. Thank you, Melissa and David, and I will turn it back over to James.
Thank you, Samantha. And with that, I think we come to the end of the agenda for this evening's meeting, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Take care, Alex.
Thank you all. See you soon.
Great travel.
Thank you.
Bye.
You have been watching the Green Bay Area Public School District's Board of Education meeting. Please visit the school district's website, www.gbaps.org, for more information on the district and future meeting dates. If you cannot fully access the information on this video, please let us know the accessibility issue you are having by calling 920-448-2025 or by email at communications@gbaps.org. We will try to provide the information to you in an alternative format and/or make the necessary improvements to make the information accessible.